Estamos de volta com mais notícias.
We're back with more news about Genfest 2024. I'm Gustavo Monteiro, and I'm here today in Guaratinguetá, in a city 180 kilometers from the capital of Sao Paulo, and just 20 minutes from Aparecida, the city that will host Genfest's central event. The event will have 3 phases: volunteering, the central event, and the citizenship school. Let's get to know the Fazenda da Esperança, one of the institutions that will be hosting young people from all over the world during the first stage of the event. So far, 49 institutions have registered. If you want to find out more, just visit our website. So let's find out a bit more about the Fazenda.
A Fazenda da Esperança é uma comunidade terapêutica.
Fazenda da Esperança is a therapeutic community that has been active since 1983 in the recovery process of people seeking freedom from their addictions, mainly alcohol and drugs. And this story began with the watchful eye of a young man. Nelson was 20 years old when he began to live the words of the gospel in a concrete and radical way. Together with Father Hans Staple, he was one of the protagonists in the creation of Fazenda da Esperança. And now we're very happy to be able to talk to him.
Olá, Nelson. Muito obrigado por me receber.
Eu já estava com 20 anos de idade e tinha me fascinado.
I was 20 years old and I was fascinated by the proposal to live the gospel and in the gospel discover the power of love. On my way home from work, I would pass a street corner where 20 young people were coming together to take drugs. I felt a desire to approach them, but I was blocked by fear. It was a phrase from the gospel that took away my fear. That phrase from St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians that says, I made myself weak with the weak, I made myself all things to all people in order to win some over to Christ. This gave me the inspiration to approach one of them, and I asked him if he could teach me how to make a handmade bracelet. He took me to his house, where we spent 2 hours together, and it was an unforgettable moment for me. I spent the whole time learning what he knew, and he told me his whole life story. Then, before I left his house with 3 bracelets in my hand, he took me by the arm and looked me in the eyes and said, I want to tell you something. I feel that for the first time in my life, I've found a real friend. This and many other experiences happened over the course of 2 months, until one day, one of them, called Antonio, came to me and told me that he had made a decision. He didn't want to live like that anymore. He was no longer using drugs. He didn't want to see his mum suffer anymore. And then he said to me, look, I need someone to accompany me 24 hours a day. Take me wherever you want. I want to get out of this. When he told me that, I realized straight away that I couldn't be the person to be with him 24 hours a day. I realized that I had to tell him who had brought me there. And then I invited him to take part in the Mass at the parish with Father Hans and suggested to him that we should try living the gospel together.
In addition to this Fazenda where we are today, there are 170 others in the 27 countries. And to make all this possible, the Fazenda has men and women volunteers who decided to spend some time here.
For me, the strongest thing I learned is the concrete day-to-day experience that everything can be an act of love. From the start of the day to the time I go to bed, everything is an act of love and can really be done out of love.
Porque o amor é uma decisão.
Since love is a decision, that's why when you decide, overcoming all the difficulties that come and living an experience of faith, you will experience what the gospel itself says. God is not outdone in generosity.